and all is still go as we monitor our status for it. Good luck and Godspeed.
Have you ever had a premonition, a feeling that something dreadful was about to happen?
No, Mother, I have not been drinking.
Do you happen to have a pair of birds that are just friendly?
We all go a little mad sometimes.
I have to go back into the past once more, just once more.
This is Hitchpod, a podcast counting down the 20 best movies of the wonderful 20th century director, Alfred Hitchcock. I'm Kat Jones, with me is Dan Libke, and in this episode, we're comparing the second best Hitchcock movie, Psycho, with the movie that the Oscars thought was the best one from that year. That was The Apartment.
Yeah, so at the end of this movie, we will let you know the best Hitchcock film,
Woohoo!
According to our listeners. And that is also, of course, going to be the final movie that we will be rewatching.
A final Hitchcock movie.
Our
because,
final Hitchcock movie. Yeah,
who
we got
knows what
plans.
else we'll be watching or rewatching in the future.
Anyway, because we also like cryptic crosswords for the final time, here's a cryptic style clue to the next movie. So see if you can work it out before the end of the episode. You've got no other information to go on as to what it might be. It could literally be any of a myriad of possible movies. But here is the clue. Narrow, wide, broken, take a look. 4,6. 4 letters and 6 letters. 2-word answer. Narrow, wide, broken, take a look.
It could be one of those silent movies. Might have made it to number one.
You never know. Could be anything. But that cryptic clue will give you a hint if you can solve it before the end of the episode. So what's this particular movie?
The Apartment was made in 1960 and it has an IMDb rating of 8.3 out of 10, Rotten Tomatoes 93%, Metacritic 94%. Basically everyone loved this.
Everyone loved it. Bosley loved it. We've got some reviews at the time, but film critic Dwight McDonald didn't love it. He said it was, quote, a paradigm of corny avant-gardism. And I don't even know what that means.
No,
but
no.
It sounds very, very disdainful, doesn't it?
It sounds like we need a review on his review.
Yes. Letterboxd, I found one good review over on Letterboxd. Now I know what I got to do to get a promotion at work. You did good, movie, advice-wise. So that's Maria.
I'm not sure Maria got the point of that.
But you got the wise joke in there, so yes.
Yes.
Did win 5 Academy Awards.
Wow.
Best Picture, Best Director, Best Screenplay, Best Art Direction and Best Editing. Art Direction was limited to black and white movies, of course.
And is this the one where Wilder won for Best Director, but he also was a producer, he was the screenplay, he was he everything?
He was
Did
pretty
win
much
for
everything, yeah. He was up for everything. Lemon and McLean were also nominated for Best Actor and Actress, respectively, and there were 3 other nominations.
And they didn't get that?
No, they didn't. So there were 10 nominations in total. They won half of them.
Yep.
They've got to be happy with that. You can get this movie in the US. It's available on Hoopla and Canopy if you've got access to those. But in Australia and the UK, you'll have to do the usual trick of finding some kind of preferred streaming service and renting it from there.
That's right. You are not allowed to get it from any other disreputable source.
Exactly. Who does it star?
Jack Lemmon. He plays CC Bud Baxter. Was his name Bud?
Yeah, well, they often refer to him as Buddy Boy, Buddy Boy. So I assume, yeah.
That was a sort of a
That's sort of a
disparaging
nickname,
nickname that you give to someone who's very junior in the office.
Yes, and of course, Lemon's famous for things like Some Like It Hot and Glengarry Glen Ross. There was also Shirley MacLaine. She played Fran, and we do have a Hitchcock link to Shirley MacLaine. She was in The Trouble with Harry. But she's also been, of course, in Terms of Endearment, Steel Magnolias, all kinds of other movies.
A zillion other movies, yeah. She's been in a lot of things. And we had Fred McMurray. He plays Jeff Sheldrake, and we saw him in Double Indemnity. He was much younger.
Yes.
And then just around this time, or after this time, he
yeah.
played the dad in an old sitcom called My Three Sons. Anyone under the age of about 40 will not remember this. So that is such an old-fashioned reference. These references to people from terrible sitcoms from the 60s that were still rerunning in the 80s.
Yes.
Of course, that doesn't happen anymore, that you get lots of mandatory reruns 20 years later because we have so much content now that there's no point rerunning terrible things.
Yes.
But, back in the olden days, we used to get, that's all we used to get.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yep. The synopsis for this one is a Manhattan insurance clerk tries to rise in his company by letting its executives use his apartment for trysts but office politics and his own romantic hopes complicate matters. So that sounds like a promising movie. It was written by Billy Wilder and I.A.L. Diamond, which sounds like a made-up name, but apparently real.
I.A.L. Diamond sounds like one of those things that you try and get people to read out over a station intercom because it sounds like something else.
Yeah, Bart Simpson calling Moe in The Simpsons, yes. It also sounds like something that you'd put into a cryptic crossword clue.
Yes.
Just to get those extra letters in there for an anagram. And, of course, it was directed by Billy Wilder, and we've seen a lot of his stuff now because we've seen him a lot on Patreon. We watched both Witness for the Prosecution and Double Indemnity, which he both did. We liked both those movies.
Yeah.
We liked a little bit less the Oscar-winning The Lost Weekend, which we saw earlier in this countdown.
And the fact that, there's an Oscar for that one suggests that, Wilder was... He knew who his friends were. His friends were... He was networking well with the Academy. And
he's also famous for a whole heap of other movies, Some Like It Hot, The 7-Year Itch, Sunset Boulevard, many others. And this one is what kind of style is this one?
Well, it's a farce.
Yeah,
it's really a farce, and it's played straight too, which is really great. It's dark comedy, I suppose, because there's not really exclusively comedy in this. It's actually quite devastating in places. Yeah. And the farce element is so well done because it's not slapstick farce.
No, it's just kind of
very
escalating
subtle.
Confusion and all, all that.
And also
of
the assumption of the world that you jump into straight away is excellent.
Yes. Did have some taglines. You want some taglines? All right, here's the first tagline. This is the major one. Movie-wise, there has never been anything like The Apartment. Love-wise, laugh-wise, or otherwise-wise.
Okay. Advice-wise.
And there was one other tagline which kind of tickled me. Please note, this one's very risque and mighty spicy. We suggest you leave the kiddies at home. So, good warning.
That's actually a really good warning because some of the reviews online were very much, why didn't you not tell me that this was not suitable for children? I took my children.
Yes. Yeah, we'll come back to that a little bit later, I think. But for now, we're going to do a recap of the plot. So if you haven't seen this one, you should probably go away and watch it. It's a good little flick.
You should definitely see this. It's a classic. Anyway, we begin in Consolidated Life, a very boring insurance company with thousands of people working there. We're introduced to this company by the very precise CC, who's Jack Lemmon.
Yep.
And we soon learn he lets his middle managers use his apartment. The managers above him use his apartment for their various extramarital affairs.
Yes. And so in between these dalliances, he lives a solo life. He kind of goes home and he eats his TV dinners and he watches TV and he's otherwise more or less lonely. But his neighbours are very convinced, based on all the noise they hear between the walls next door, that he's a tireless Lothario, that he's just endlessly having sex with women.
Yep. Meanwhile, at work, we also learn he's smitten with the elevator operator. That's Fran, Shirley MacLaine. And that's a bit of a problem because after the big boss, Sheldrake, that's Fred McMurray, Sheldrake worms his way into the apartment as well. He's into the rotation. We also learn that Sheldrake has a fling with Fran, and Fran stands up Baxter in preference to spending a night with Sheldrake.
Yes. But on the plus side for Baxter, he does get the promotion that he's been angling for with all this subletting. And also at the official Christmas party, however, he learns about Fran's relationship with Sheldrake. There's some kind of cracked mirror that was broken during a fight between the two, and he found it and returned it to Sheldrake, and then later on he saw Fran opening the cracked mirror, and it's very symbolic of all kinds of broken things.
That was a great little clue.
Yes.
Anyway, at the same party, Fran learns she's just one of a series of conquests for Sheldrake, who is purely getting his girls on power because he's a very ugly personality.
Yes.
And anyway, it was one of his previous conquests. His secretary, who's still his secretary, fills her in. Baxter, meanwhile, hooks up with some random woman he meets in a bar. Yeah,
and he tries to take this random woman home, but he discovers Fran, who has devastated by Sheldrake's determination to never leave his wife. She's taken sleeping pills and is kind of collapsed on the bed. So in a bit of a panic, he shoos the extra woman off that he brought home, says, you get out of here. And he races next door where there's a doctor living conveniently for the plot. And he comes in and they help bring her back to life and walk her around and make sure she doesn't fall asleep with all these sleeping pills inside of her.
Yes, and this doctor, of course, has seen two women now in his apartment, so that's confirming all of his views. Anyway, over the next few days, Fran has to remain there. She's still sick. So Baxter looks after Fran, playing cards with her and feeding her spaghetti strained through a tennis racket and all sorts of other slightly more slapstick elements coming in here.
Yes. Sheldrake, meanwhile, has learnt that his secretary was the one who told Fran all about his ongoing shenanigans. I'm pretty sure she would have worked it out eventually. So he fires his secretary, but the secretary just says, that's okay, I'll just give your wife a call and fill you in. And Sheldrake gets thrown out of his home. The whole divorce that he'd been dangling in front of Fran the whole time is, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to divorce my wife. Yep, he is, because his wife is divorcing him.
So Sheldrake demands the apartment for a New Year's Eve hookup, back again with Fran. But Baxter refuses to give him the key. Instead, he hands back the key to the executive washroom, another symbolic little prop here. When Fran learns of this, she also abandons Sheldrake in the middle of the New Year's Eve celebrations and returns to Baxter, and they resume their relationship and they have another quick game of gin rummy.
Yes, and that's the end. It's a good little movie. I enjoyed this one.
Yes.
I thought both Lemon and McLean were very charming. And the story, I liked how tightly plotted the story was. There wasn't anything loose. Everything led into one another. It was like clockwork. I enjoyed it a lot.
It was really, it was really great. And the whole symbolism too of the pointless life being, sort of played out at the pointless job.
Yep.
And even when he gets a promotion, he doesn't do anything. He never does anything at work. We never see him do any work at all.
No, he's got all these devices set up. He's got a Rolodex and he's got
adding machine
and
a
phone and
we see him use the Rolodex, which I suppose is his work Rolodex, only to contact other people in his department in order to make sure that only one person goes into his apartment one at a time. It is just so. And when he gets a promotion, he's just given progressively more fancy offices that he still does nothing in, nothing at all. It's so great, except he goes up the lift and down the lift. We see Fran at work. She's the lift operator. Yeah. But no one does anything. It's so great.
Yeah, I did quite like. The key that's there gets passed around from man to man to man. They have to leave it under the doormat as they leave, but otherwise he's has to work out who's getting it next and hand it off to them. Yeah. Sheldrake, to his credit, does come up with the idea of, hey, let's make a spare key. So that's probably why he's the big boss. He's got all these great innovative entrepreneurial ideas. But yeah, the key business did remind me a little bit of Dial In for Murder, with keys being hidden things everywhere. Used in a completely different way.
Yeah,
but
you're
it was
right.
it definitely brought back that kind of vibe.
That's right. Yes, fantastic. What else? What else did you like?
I was very tickled by the name of the composer for this movie. This was Adolf Deutsch, which felt almost like a parody German name.
It must be, yeah.
And I also loved that Baxter had a remote control for his television
set.
set.
That was incredible.
That's very modern.
Even to have the television set seemed very modern, and it was so fantastic.
And there were lots and lots of kind of pop culture references for the time, like lots of references to TV shows and plays and movies, and so this must have been very kind of with it and like of the moment at the time, and yet it's still not particularly dated these days. It doesn't really matter. You get the gist that even if you don't know what all these TV shows and movies are.
Yeah, it is funny, isn't it? This sort of where do you go for your romantic trysts is still a thing. These middle managers couldn't afford to hire out hotels. There was lots of talk about where they were going when there was no alternative, but they had to go to drive-ins, they had to go to the car. There was just everyone was sleeping with everyone. It was just such a strange movie.
Yes. Another fact I learned while researching this was apparently Wilder just hated TV. He had complete contempt for it. So there is the scene where Baxter's mucking about with his remote control and he's trying to watch a movie and he keeps getting interrupted by commercials. This was actually some kind of scathing satire of the medium by Wilder, that TV's maybe it's convenient to watch, but you can't actually ever get to see anything on it. So that was kind of entertaining.
And that must be a hard reference for some people to understand, because a lot of people don't watch any free-to-air TV. Yeah. But we did get interrupted by commercials the whole time. That's what used to happen.
Yeah, and it happens on YouTube now these days, unless you pay for YouTube Premium and or an ad blocker.
And in our podcasts, of course.
Of course. Yes. No, well, not this podcast. Maybe other podcasts. So how was this movie made?
So we had Wilder had the success of Some Like It Hot. That was the year before. Mm-hmm. And he wanted to work with Lemon again, a fabulous comic actor.
Yeah. I had no idea Lemon was this good. I think I've only ever seen him like as an older man and kind of mostly just ignored
was he
him,
like
to be honest.
grumpy old man?
I think he might have been a grumpy old man, yeah.
Yeah, so the plot was inspired by Noel Coward's play Brief Encounters.
And also some real world Hollywood scandals also went into it. So there were some
Really?
murders and suicides in these borrowed adultery apartments,
right.
which also kind of got mixed into the blend as they wrote the script.
So he knew about this happening in Hollywood, presumably, with everyone jumping into bed with everyone else in other apartments.
Yep.
Yes,
Wild
great.
time. Yes, but Lemon signed on. Like Lemon just had to hear the idea. He didn't even have to wait for the script to be written. He just got the idea of it and said, "Yeah, I'd sign on to anything Wilder wrote." He basically said, "I'd sign on to the phone book if I knew that Wilder was writing it."
And that was probably a good instinct as well. So original titles were considered that were reasonably good. Like the first one, Who's Been Sleeping in My Bed?
Yes.
That's great. Or Someone's Been Sleeping in My Bed.
Yes.
I think the apartment is neater.
It's very to the point, right? And they started getting other cast members. Fred McMurray came in. He played against type because he was mostly known as My Three Sons would suggest for his family roles. He was kind of an upstanding citizen.
Yeah.
The trailer for the movie even said, "This is a Fred McMurray you've never seen before." And for people who hadn't seen the trailer, this led to a bit of a backlash because apparently he was chastised at Disneyland by a mother who'd taken her children to see the movie. She hadn't read the tagline. She just thought, "Oh, this is that lovely Fred McMurray gentleman.
Yes,
Let's go
right.
see him in a wonderful Disney-style movie." And then he's cheating around on his wife and driving women to attempted suicide.
Yep.
Yes.
Fantastic. The studio wanted Groucho Marx for the Doctor. Now, that would have been quite something. Instead, they picked someone not dissimilar in style to Groucho Marx.
That
but
would have
still-
been wild to have Groucho Marx in there. I'm kind of disappointed we didn't have that.
that would have been good, I think.
Shirley MacLaine, of course, came on board and she claimed that the film was being written on the fly. She says that the gin rummy game was added to the script because at the time she was learning how to play the game from her friends. So she was learning how to play, so they just kind of wove that into the script. So it worked.
I think that it did have that feel about being a little bit improvised at times.
Apparently, Wilder was very adamant, stick to the script, but he did occasionally allow them to do some improvisation. That was like the singing and the tennis racket straining. I think the tennis racket straining the spaghetti was written into the script, but the kind of the singing and dancing around that Lemon did while he was doing that was mostly improvised as well.
So we spoke about the insurance company being this massive, massive number of people, piling into the elevators at the end. It's hard to believe that any company ever had that many people working.
Well, according to the voiceover at the beginning, they had to stagger their starting times and end times, Severance style, to make sure not that they wouldn't meet one another, but just that they could all get in and up and down the elevators in the course of the day.
Yeah, that's great.
And of course, they used a bit of trickery, a bit of forced perspective trickery to create the kind of visual of this large insurance company. They used smaller and smaller people and desks to kind of create the illusion of an endless room full of desks and workers. And by the end, there were just like children dressed up as insurance workers with tiny desks. And the way it was angled made it look as if it's just like this endless warehouse full of people at desks. So
that's
very
delightful.
funny.
So that was Alexandre Trauner, who's the art director, who won the art direction Oscar for that. So, and for everything else he did. The apartment itself was very dark and dingy. It was all very cleverly done. So I think that was good work from him.
There are also a couple of other things that didn't quite go according to script. So Fran's brother-in-law, who we didn't really mention in the summary, he shows up and basically is looking for Fran at one point and punches Baxter in the face. But Lemon didn't move at the right time as that punch came in. It was supposed to obviously not actually hit him, but it did hit him. So Wilder said, "Well, we've caught this on film, so we'll use it then. If didn't mean to hit you, but that works." And Lemon also caught a real cold, so they added that to the plot as well.
So that's Wilder's, one of Wilder's things is making the most of moments that are realistic and adding them in, and that does add to the movie.
Yep. There are a few darker edges to Baxter's character originally, but in the editing room they cut them out because they wanted to make him as likeable as possible. So one of the cut scenes had him browsing Playboy and what the well-dressed junior executive will wear article, And they removed that because they started to think he was becoming... I mean, he was obviously trying to climb his way up the corporate ladder using whatever methods, but they kind of backgrounded that a little bit.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, he wasn't actually sleeping around.
No.
So in comparison to everyone else, he came across as pretty noble.
Yes. But the film was a success at the box office. It received slightly mixed reviews early on before everyone kind of came on board and said, yeah, actually, this is pretty good. And
there were a lot of conservative people around, so people were not happy with the subject matter, that they weren't really evaluating the film on its merits otherwise. If you don't like the subject, you're going to give it a bad review, right?
Yeah. What about some lines for this movie?
We had some really good lines that made us laugh along the way. Baxter, Lemon, said, that's the way it crumbles cookie-wise.
Yeah, so that's kind of an ongoing theme, the wise bits.
Yep.
Sheldrake also says, you see a girl a couple of times a week just for laughs, and right away they think you're going to divorce your wife. Now I ask you, is that fair? And Baxter says, no, sir, it's very unfair, especially to your wife.
That's a great line. Sheldrake, again, is talking to Fran just after.
It's Christmas Eve, basically, yeah.
Pretty much, is this after she has the suicide attempt?
No, this is just before.
Just before.
This is what drives her to it, basically.
Yes. Anyway, he says, oh, I have a present for you. I didn't quite know what to get you. Besides, it's kind of awkward for me in shopping. So here's $100. You go and buy yourself something.
Yes. So he's basically just said, well, you're now a prostitute.
Yes. Awful.
Good work, Sheldrake, you loser.
And then there's another line. This is the woman, I think, that he meets in the bar who he picks up. She says, her name was Margie. You married? Baxter says, nope. Margie says, family? Baxter says, nope. Margie says, night like this sort of spooks you walking home to an empty apartment. Baxter says, I said I had no family. I didn't say I had an empty apartment.
Yeah, that's very good. And then, of course, at the end of that conversation, Margie says, where will we go? My place or yours? And then Baxter pauses and looks at his watch and says, might as well go to mine. Everybody else does. So, yes.
Yeah, there was lots. It was a lot.
A lot of lines. That's just a smattering of it. It was very funny, very well written. Yeah, a very, very good movie.
Yeah.
But did it pass the Bechdel test?
Well, thank goodness it did. It does have two named women in it. They do talk to each other about something besides a man, and that's at the Christmas party.
Yep.
Even though Fran and Sheldrake's secretary, who's Miss Olsen, they talk about Sheldrake a lot, they do also talk about work before they move on to talking about a man.
Yes.
It barely passes.
It barely passes, but it just gets there. How would modern technology impact, improve, or change the plot for this one?
So I think in modern times what would happen is everyone would be using some kind of app for this, and there would probably be a name for it called, the apartment app or something like that.
Yeah.
And you would be able to go online and choose your window that you wanted the apartment for, and be able to book it out, and then he wouldn't have to worry about any of that chaos or even the paper trail behind it.
Yeah, I think that's better, because I was originally thinking like a shared Google Calendar, shared with all these people. But if anyone, that does leave a paper trail.
Yes.
But a secure app, you can get your Face ID out, and you put your Face ID in there, and then you can log in and choose your window. I think that's
and it would be
better.
called meetings in the apartment room or something like that.
Yeah, and of course you wouldn't need the key swapping. You just have a smart door lock. You just have to program in the code number for people, and there you go. You're in.
Yeah, I feel like the various men and women could use this for scheduling with the actual partner as well. It could be, are you up for a meeting at 11 o'clock? And, it's like, just book into my calendar. Here are all the times I'm available.
Yep. Modern adultery is so much easier, I'm sure. Tributes, homages and remakes. There was a Broadway musical made of this
really?
8 years later, with Burt Bacharach, Neil Simon, so like a proper full-scale
I think it'd be a great musical,
Yeah.
actually. It'd be a really good musical. I wouldn't be surprised if this isn't going now as a musical.
It could be. It was certainly going in 1968. It was called Promises, Promises. So not sure the title's much better. It's okay, I guess. But,
no, they shouldn't have changed the title. How silly. They would have got more people coming if they'd kept the original.
Yeah.
I think this would, it's only got 2 settings.
Yeah.
It's just the apartment and
the
work.
office, yeah.
I think that's perfect for a play.
Yep. Where does it squeeze into the Oscar movie cinematic universe?
Well, we have the Lost Weekend, right? So I think it's definitely the same apartment block.
Yeah, I think just the room upstairs. I think the Lost Weekend is taking place. I'm not quite sure whether the Lost Weekend was a Lost Weekend over Christmas, but it's sometime around then.
Is this a Christmas movie?
Oh, it must be. I mean, we've had a lot of these movies where it's actually Christmas. Psycho itself was around the same time.
That's great, yeah.
And this movie started with a date on it, and we were actually watching the movie on the same date. It was like the 1st of November when we were watching it, so that was very entertaining.
I love the idea that Psycho's going on at exactly the same time as this.
Yep.
You know, just someone else in a different place. And what about the Psycho apartment?
Yeah.
You know, maybe she lives in the same block.
Maybe. Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah, Janet Leigh's up even higher.
That's right.
Yeah, that's very good. All right, well, speaking of Hitchcock, we've segued there. Let's go through the checklist. Is there a MacGuffin in this movie?
Is it the apartment?
I'm not
that's
sure
a
it's the
plot
apartment. That's pretty intrinsic to the plot. I think it might be something like executive power. Like they all
the
like
promotion that he wants. Yeah.
I think Baxter wants his power. Like
Yes.
we don't care about it, and ultimately he doesn't even care about it.
We don't care about it because we don't really know what he does. So therefore we can't possibly care about it. He doesn't even really care about it.
Yeah.
So everyone's in pursuit of this.
Yeah, but that's a whole
mobility.
reason for him letting these nitwits use his apartment the whole time. So I think that might be it.
Yeah.
Did we get a director cameo?
No director cameo.
But if he wanted one, he could have easily, work out where his height was.
Yes.
And just slot into an appropriate desk somewhere.
Yeah.
I think that's
They were also formally dressed back then. Everyone had a suit, tie.
At one point, Baxter gets a bowler hat, and he's very proud of that. He's very pleased. That's before he learns, just before he learns that Fran has been with Sheldrake.
It's a symbol of his power, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. And who knows whether the hat was necessary for the promotion? We don't know what he was doing.
Yes.
In the promotion. Do we have a mother character?
We kind of do. We got the next door neighbour who comes in when Fran's not well. She pops in. She brings her soup. I think that's very maternal.
Yeah, that's proper mother energy there.
I think that's a mother character. Do we have a lead character at a standstill?
Yes, we do, really. He's at a standstill. He's stuck in his apartment. He's at a career standstill at the very start. He doesn't have a girlfriend or anyone else, and he's pretty anonymous. So I think he's at a standstill, yes.
Yes. We do have plenty of characters with elements of good and bad. Most of the executives are pretty bad. I don't think they've got many redeeming qualities, but Baxter himself is bit morally shaded because he's exploiting this apartment. He doesn't seem to care who these, the fact that all these men are cheating on their wives. Couldn't care less about that until it starts to impact him. And then it's just like, oh, wait a sec, then maybe this is wrong what they're doing.
Well, he does get personal consequences, which is, again, how beautiful this plot is.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about all these poor women and all these poor men and all these poor wives. And then eventually it's like, oh, I do care a bit about it because now it's my girl it's happening to.
Yes.
So I think that's perfect consequences. So that, like you say, the plot was just beautifully balanced, wasn't it?
Yes. Well, we also had a little bit of mistaken identity stuff, a classic Hitchcock trope. Baxter not realising initially who Sheldrake's fling is with, so it's only, as we said, it's only when he realised that it's with somebody he actually cares about that he takes action on it. And even then, only very belatedly.
Yeah.
He just lets it go on. He just doesn't fight for her or try to convince her to do anything. It's just, oh, well, my boss wants her and I need my promotion, so I'll just let her be with this doofus.
That's right, and that's again the executive power coming into it, isn't it?
Yeah.
That he can't fight against that. He's sort of fitting in with the system as well, almost to the point of you get the impression that if he rises far enough up the ladder, he'll be doing the same behaviour because that's what he thinks is okay at the start.
Yeah.
And then he realises all the consequences of it, including the very, very dark consequences of her trying to commit suicide, which is really dramatic turn at that point.
I did not expect that.
No, it's not. It's unusual in a comedy, but of course this is much darker than a normal comedy in lots of ways.
And then the revelation that he also tried to commit suicide previously when he had some kind of heartbreak, and then that leads to the very final scene where she's rushing back to him and we hear what sounds like a gunshot because he's got a gun and we think, my God, he's shot himself. No, he's popped a champagne cork because it's New Year's Eve.
Yes.
So yes, all very dramatic. Do we have a smart young woman? Is Fran a smart young woman?
We don't have any smart young women.
No, she's not particularly
including
smart.
the Sheldrake's secretary. She should have left and told the wife a lot earlier.
Yeah. We don't have staircases, but they're swapped out for elevators, which are a big deal in this movie. So I think that counts. I'm sure there was a chair fight before the end of the Christmas party. Like that was a pretty raucous Christmas party.
It was pretty raucous. They were up on tables. They were doing all sorts of things.
Yeah,
It was
just snogging in spare rooms, random people.
I remember Christmas parties being pretty raucous a few decades ago. These days they're incredibly tame, which is as they should be.
Yes. We do have some other tropes courtesy of tvtropes.org. We've got Catch Your Death of Cold, which of course is Baxter, who's forced to sleep in the park for hours because someone's still in his apartment. So poor old Baxter.
Yep.
For the second time in a while, we've got Did I Mention It's Christmas?
Yeah.
Again, the film takes place around Christmas. Don't have anything to do with the plot, really.
No, not much.
We've got the trope Sleeping with the Boss, classic. We've got Stalker with a Crush. So this is where Baxter reveals he knows every single thing about Fran. He knows where she lives, what her favourite things are, her height, her weight, all these things. He just logged into her, personnel details and knows it all. And in those days, this was very charming. Of course, in those days, you could just look up anybody's address in the phone book. It was a completely different era.
A different era. And of course, in the insurance business, I guess all of those details are quite relevant.
Yeah. And of course, verbal tick. So this, of course, is everybody adding the suffix wise to their words. So at one point, Baxter says otherwise wise. And we had the movie tagline, of course, which is movie wise.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, and as a kind of final tag to this, the actual screenplay itself. So the screenplay ends after the Fran's shut up and deal line, which is the final line of the movie. Bud begins to deal, never taking his eyes off her. Fran removes her coat, starts picking up her cards and arranging them. Bud, a look of pure joy on his face, deals and keeps dealing. And that's about it, story-wise. So they integrated into the screenplay itself. So it's very good.
Fantastic. So now we're going to compare Psycho and The Apartment to see how could Psycho have done a few more things apartment-wise and got some Oscar juice and maybe won the Oscar. We know that Psycho was never winning any Oscars because it was so dramatically different.
Yes. I think if it wanted to have a crack at it though, Norman should have used his hotel for his office colleagues to have affairs in there. A hotel's much better than an apartment. I mean, to have office colleagues, he would have to go to work in an office. So, but that's not beyond him. I believe Norman could go to an office, get a job there, get some colleagues, bring them back, let them have affairs in his hotel.
He could
maybe only kill a few of them.
No, only kill some of them. And of course, no consequences. No one's going to be talking about the people who were killed.
Yep.
It could have just been people from the town who wanted to have affairs. So I guess that's possible.
Yes.
He definitely needed a doctor living next door.
Yes. Yeah. Whenever somebody's accidentally slashed to death in a shower, that's when you need a doctor to come in and say, "Oh no, she'll be right. Just strap her up, get some bandages on her, walk her around, make sure she doesn't fall asleep. She'll be fine." Yeah. I think that works.
So we do have Norman and Janet Leigh there in an awkward scene.
Yes.
In an apartment, not exactly an apartment. It was like
a
his
little
back
room,
office, his little room, his little back office. So they could have been having spaghetti there instead of sandwiches and milk.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. He could have taught her how to play gin rummy instead of stabbing her. Lots of options to make this a little more Oscar friendly.
Yeah.
And I think he should have at some point also bought himself a new bowler hat. Wouldn't Norman have looked good in a little bowler hat?
Can't imagine that. I can't quite imagine that. But yeah, I mean, it is a good point that maybe Norman, should if he just hadn't done those murders, maybe it would have been Oscar.
That's where he went.
Just have an affair, but without. I mean, I'm sure he considered it, but sleep with a girl instead of just murdering her. That might have been more like The Apartment.
Yes. Maybe the very opening scene should have been in an apartment borrowed from a work colleague. Yeah.
Well, we didn't see anyone in underwear in The Apartment, so it followed the rules, didn't it? It followed those rules. So Psycho broke all of the rules.
Yeah. Put your clothes on, Janet Leigh. Win an Oscar. All right, so our final thoughts. Where are we going to rank The Apartment against all the other Oscar movies we've watched? So it's we've watched a whole heap now. This might be the 17th one of them all.
Where are you putting it?
I'm going to put this one number 2.
Ooh.
This one's going after The Godfather, just before Bridge on the River Kwai. It's my number 2. Godfather, The Apartment, Bridge on the River Kwai. Casablanca drops down to 4. So that's my top 4. What about you?
I'm putting it at number 1.
Yeah.
We really love this movie.
Yeah, it was really good.
I'm putting it above Casablanca.
Yeah, all right. And then you've got The Apartment, Casablanca, Gaslight, Rebecca, and then Ben-Hur. Yeah, Ben-Hur at 5.
Ben-Hur's at 5, yeah.
Interesting. So that's our list. We we'll see where we go from here. But before we wrap up,
I am
here,
relieved though. I mean, at least our top 5 or 6 now are decent movies.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
a while there we had nothing.
Yeah, there are some dreadful ones at the bottom of the list.
And that makes sense because as our Hitchcock movies are getting better, the movie that has to beat them
Yes, that's true. Yeah,
has to get better
That's
as
true.
well. In theory, I was doubtful, but it's panned out. We have had some wonderful movies to watch recently.
yes. All right, and what will our next movie be? It'll be the best Hitchcock movie, but which one is that? So the cryptic clue was narrow, wide, broken. Take a look. 4 letters and 6 letters. What could the answer to this one possibly be, Kat Jones?
Well, the answer is Rear Window. It's built up as follows. Broken is an anagram indicator. So you're rearranging those first few words, narrow and wide, and you get Rear Window out of those. And that's a movie all about taking a look, which was the rest of the clue.
Yes, so a rewatch of Rear Window, the number 1 movie from 1954. We did not have this ranked anywhere near as high as our listeners. This was my 20th ranked Hitchcock movie, and you had it at number 18, so it barely scrapes into our personal top 20. So we didn't put this one at the top of the list, but everybody else did. So we'll have to see whether our opinions change on a rewatch.
Yeah.
And we will let you know all of that next month.
So if you have any feedback or questions about Rear Window, feel free to email them in. You can email them at feedback. If you're old-fashioned, you can get your Rolodex out and you can email them in at feedback@hitchpodonline.com. We'll do our best to answer them. You can also contact us on various socials.
Yeah, Blue Sky's the best one. We are on Blue Sky, but if you're on the Patreon, obviously, if you're on the Patreon, we will answer your question pretty much regardless of what it is. Just chuck it in there. Rear Window is also, speaking of the Patreon, it's also based on the short story It Had to Be Murder by Cornel Woolrich. So we'll track down that short story and we'll have a look at that over on the Patreon Book Club. We're still reading Psycho over at the Patreon Book Club, so you can come join us there. We'll continue with Psycho because the short story is not going to take up too much of our energy. So we'll do both It Had to Be Murder by Cornel Woolrich and Psycho. We'll continue over at the Patreon. Join us there, pay the $2, and we will speak to you next month.
Thank you for listening to HitchPod. Please come and talk to us on
Blue Sky
at
hitchpodonline.com.
or on Facebook by searching for HitchPod. And you can also email us directly at feedback@hitchpodonline.com. And if you want more Hitchcock content, please consider becoming a HitchPod supporter. Just go to patreon.com/HitchPod. And for as little as $2 a month, you can get access to our Season 1 coverage of every single Hitchcock movie, as well as bonus episodes on Hitchcock-esque movies. Invitations also to watch live rewatches and much, much more.